If you've seen my initial Arai Tour X5 helmet review, you will know that I did that after riding it on the launch in southern Spain, where, to be fair, the weather conditions were pretty optimal. But I wanted to find out if the performance that I saw from that helmet was the same after riding it through a UK winter. Let's find out. On the launch we had fantastic sunshine and warm weather, and obviously that wasn't the case as soon as I got this helmet back into the UK. As I mentioned in my first video, I think Arai have resolved a lot of the issues that I and other users had reported on the Tour X4. It's not to say it was a bad helmet, but there were a few bits that could have been done better, and we'll touch on those as we go through. But I needed to wear it through a UK winter to establish if those changes really have made a difference, or whether I was just being lulled into a false sense of security in the warm weather of Spain. So let's start with vision and vision related performance. The new visor with the 120 XLT pin lock offers a really impressive field of vision, and the flatter, rounder profile of the visor put an end to the problems of both fitting the pin lock and the distorted vision I had with the X4. The pin lock now fits and doesn't touch anywhere on the face of the visor, so we don't get those kind of blobs or rainbow spots. Admittedly, they were more visible from the outside looking in than the inside looking out, but it was still a problem with that old visor. Over the winter I've had no issues with fogging. I have had some condensation build up at the bottom, which you would expect with warm breath against the cold visor, but at no point did any of that condensation get past the seal of the pin lock. I also think that the removal of the eyebrow vents has helped a lot with this. Now obviously they did offer extra ventilation, but I found that they were a little bit of a weak spot in wet weather, particularly continuous rain. It was worse with the Pro Shade because they've got a slightly different action. They kind of slide up and down, and it's very easy for that to kind of be left a little bit open, whereas the standard ones are on a hinge. But every time I've had problems with an Arai helmet missing, it's because water or moisture has got in through those, and then it sits on the top of the pin lock seal and eventually works its way down. So actually losing those, I think, has made a big difference. The seal around the eye port has also worked very well. I've had no water get down between the seal and the visor and run down the inside. Not having a locking mechanism for the visor also I think is good. There's only a tab on the left hand side, not on the right hand side. Doesn't bother me. I know it has bothered some other people with the comments that I get. Simple, effective, and it works. Whilst I'm talking about the visor, I will mention the new quick release system to remove it. That is so much easier, much better than the old screw fix. Yeah, you could do it before with a coin, but it was just fiddly and it took time. This is quick and easy, and that's going to get a lot of use now in the summer as I switch between the clear and the tinted visor. But that does also bring along one potential negative with this helmet, and we'll touch on that in a few minutes. Ventilation is the next thing to look at, and obviously whilst on the launch I was able to see what that's like in warm weather, and I thought it was very good. The thing is though, does that very good ventilation turn into annoying drafts when you're using it in cold weather? Well, I'm pleased to say no. There is a little bit of creep I noticed of air getting in sort of under the sides here, but to be honest, if you're wearing a neck tube, you kind of, it doesn't create a problem. I don't find it kind of creeping up and hitting my face. Obviously I do have a beard, that may help, but yeah, I don't find a problem with that. And actually this little pull down spoiler, although it doesn't look like it does much, is actually much more effective than I originally thought it would be, and much more effective than it looks. Just being able to pull that down and deflect the air away noticeably not only keeps drafts away, but it keeps down the level of noise that you get from the wind rushing underneath, which is generally where most of the noise in helmets comes from. Never thought I'd use it. Actually use it quite a lot, particularly on longer motorway journeys or on faster roads. Now when you compare it to the Tour X4, which again had very good ventilation, the difference between the two helmets is that I find that the ventilation is more controllable on this one than it was on the previous model. When all of the ventilation openings are closed up, you are really nicely isolated, and then getting cooling out to where you need it is very, very simple. Now, I found that a lot of the time this 3D vent I will keep open, because what that does is allows just a nice little bit of air to circulate around in the front of your face. You don't kind of feel it, you've just got that sort of recycling of fresh air coming through, which obviously helps with your concentration, but it's also part of the reason I think that I've never had any fogging issues with this visor. The new peak is excellent, it's stable, solid, and it works very well for shading the eyes in low sun. There's minimal drag on shoulder checks or lift at speed, to be honest, and considering how plain it is compared to a lot of others which have big gaps and channels and cutouts in it, it says a lot for its design. I found this a very comfortable helmet to wear all day long. I put this on my scales and it came out at 1,690 grams, so it's not the lightest, but by the same token it's certainly not the heaviest of this style of helmet out there. But because it is so well balanced and so stable, I think it makes for a really, really good adventure touring helmet. One of the biggest negatives always thrown at Arai helmets is the lack of a drop-down internal sun visor. This helmet is no different, and I think this is something that will remain unchanged on Arai helmets for a long time to come, possibly forever. And this is purely down to the way that the helmets are designed and made. Arai's philosophy is to have a very hard, stiff shell with a soft EPS liner inside that fits flush to the inside of the shell with no gaps. So this really isn't a design or method of helmet construction that allows for a drop-down visor and its mechanism. It's not the case, certainly in my view, that drop-down visors are a compromise in safety in general, but they would be for Arai in the way that their helmets are constructed, and fair play to them, they're sticking to the way that they have made helmets for years and years. They have a fantastic safety record, and it's something that they will continue to do what they feel is the most safe for the rider. Now, I personally do like using a drop-down visor, not necessarily as a sunshade, because we all know if you're riding into a low, very bright sun, putting that shell down doesn't often make that much difference, and sometimes it can make things worse. But I do like the fact that when I'm riding in hot weather, I can have my main visor open and drop that lower visor down to give me eye protection. And anybody that's been hit square in the eyeball by a bee or a fly, anything higher than 20 to 30 miles an hour, I think you'll be with me on this one. Obviously you can wear sunglasses. I have been using light sensitive or light reactive visors. I've got a transitions visor on my Shoei RYD. I've had that for years and it is a brilliant piece of kit. I would highly recommend those to any rider. However, Arai don't offer a light reactive visor for any of their helmets. Obviously the other option is to use a light reactive pin lock on the inside, and there are some of those available, but again, sadly at the moment for this 120 XLT pin lock there isn't a light reactive version available. I did reach out to Pinlock to ask them if there are any plans for one of those to come along, and so far I've not had a response, but I will update you with a pinned comment if I get news that one will be coming at any point soon. For me, an internal visor is a nice to have, but not necessarily essential. For touring, I can carry a second visor now that changing it isn't the pain in the arse that it used to be. So the original question was, does this helmet work as well in the winter as it did on the launch in Spain? And the answer is unequivocally yes, it does. It has performed flawlessly in my opinion. I personally think it's a very classy looking helmet that's well made, comfortable, and does all that you would want it to do very well. I've yet to fit any comms to it, but it is set up for it, so I think potentially that would make for another update video a little bit down the line once I've decided what comms I want to put on the helmet. All in all, the Tour X5 gets a big thumbs up from me. I like it a lot. If you've got any questions about the helmet or my experiences with it, any of the technical stuff, then drop those in the comment section down below and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. And all that leaves me to say is, until next time, thanks for watching, take care, ride safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye!